please hit that subscribe button.
Hey everybody.
Better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, the Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Watch out, and he scored! And we're live. Hey everybody, so we're back again, continuing my hit or miss series today, looking at the LA Kings. So in this video, I will look at LA Kings first round draft picks from 2005 through 2015 and determine if that pick is a hit or if that pick is a miss. Before we get started, I just have to ask, please hit that subscribe button if you are new, and hit that thumbs up button and give this video a like, as both of those things really help out the channel and are very much appreciated. Well, let's get into it here, guys. Starting with 2005, the 2005 NHL entry draft, the Los Angeles Kings were selecting 11th overall, and with that pick, they took center Anze Kopitar. Obviously, this pick is a massive, massive hit, as Kopitar has gone on to become one of the top players in the league, an absolute staple for the LA Kings over the past 15 years almost now. Two-time Stanley Cup champion, Selke Trophy winner, just incredibly, incredibly good player. Still their first-line center, and still one of their best players to this day. Kopitar has played 1,073 career games, scoring 333 goals, 617 assists for 950 points, and a +76 career rating. He's been an absolute superstar for the Kings, and that pick is a massive hit. Moving on now to 2006, they selected twice in the first round in 06. First time coming 11th overall once again, where they took goaltender Jonathan Bernier. Jonathan Bernier has played 370 NHL games with a record of 152, 138, and 38, a .912 career save percentage, and a 2.76 goals against average. Bernier never became the star goalie that a lot of people thought he was going to, especially myself, watching him in the AHL when he was still developing and coming up. I thought Bernier was going to become one of the top goalies in the NHL. That never happened, but Bernier has put together a very solid NHL career. He's been a really good backup goaltender, someone who can split starts. And now he was starting this season with the Detroit Red Wings. And I'm going to say that pick is a hit because Bernier has become a pretty darn good goalie. Now, unfortunately for him, he has been stuck on a lot of really bad teams. But he's got a .912 career save percentage, which is certainly pretty good. A 2.76 goals against average. Nothing to be ashamed of there. He's played on some bad teams. He's been a backup most of the time. But Jonathan Bernier is, had a decent NHL career. And goaltenders going in the first round are a complete crapshoot. Whether or not they become anything or not. So with the fact that he's even had a good NHL career makes Bernier a hit, in my opinion. They picked again at 17th overall, and with that pick, they selected forward Trevor Lewis. Now, Trevor Lewis is still on the LA Kings. He's been a staple of their bottom six for a long, long time now. He's also won 2 Stanley Cups with them. And Lewis is a really, really solid depth player. He's played 674 games in the NHL, scoring 70 goals, 93 assists for 163 points and a -43 rating. He's been on the Kings' third, fourth lines for a long, long time now. Really, really good depth guy. And for a mid-first round draft pick, putting together over 600 career games and over 150 career points as a depth player, that is a solid career. That pick is also a hit. Moving on to 2007, they selected 4th overall in the 2007 draft, and with that pick, they selected defenseman Thomas Hickey. Thomas Hickey went on to play 449 games in the NHL, scoring 22 goals, 93 assists for 115 points and a +35 rating. Thomas Hickey most notably played with the New York Islanders, had his best seasons with the New York Islanders, became a solid NHL defenseman for a pretty short period of time, but for a few years, he was a pretty solid NHL defenseman, but certainly never, ever, ever lived up to being a number 4 overall draft pick, and that makes this pick a miss, in my opinion. Hickey, didn't even play 500 career games, only just over 100 career points. He was, for a while, he was a solid player in your top 6, more of a bottom pair type defenseman. but he certainly never lived up to being a star defenseman or even a top pair defenseman, and certainly did not live up to being a 4th overall draft pick. As when you're picking in the top 5 and in the top 10, you are looking for star players, not just guys who play in a number 5 or 6 role for a few seasons. And Hickey is a miss in my opinion. Moving on to 2008, they selected 2nd overall in the 2008 draft, and with that pick, they selected defenseman Drew Doughty. And unlike Thomas Hickey, Drew Doughty has been a huge hit there at 2nd overall, 100% living up to being a top 5 draft pick, becoming one of the top players in the NHL. One of the top defensemen in the NHL, Norris Trophy level player, 919 career games, 117 goals as a defenseman, 385 assists for 502 points and a +43 rating. Obviously, the Kings are very, very bad now, but he won 2 Stanley Cups with the Kings, been on a lot of playoff teams, still one of the top players on the LA Kings to this day. Number 1 defenseman, one of the top D-men in the league, Drew Doughty, is a massive, massive hit. And they picked again in 2008, 13th overall. So once again, they had 2 first-round picks. And with that 13th overall pick, they selected another defenseman. This one, Colton Teubert, who went on to play 24 games, no goals, 1 assist for 1 point and a -5 rating. Obvious miss there. He never even, barely touched NHL ice with only 24 games played. Not how you want your first-round picks to turn out. Moving on to 2009, the Kings selected 5th overall, so another top 5 draft pick for the LA Kings. Obviously, at the late 2000s here, they were really, really bad. And with that pick, they selected center Brayden Schenn. And Brayden Schenn was a massive hit as he has gone on to play 658 games in the NHL, scoring 179 goals, 251 assists for 430 points and a -16 rating. He is currently a top 6 forward for the St. Louis Blues. He won the Stanley Cup last year with St. Louis. Previously, before going to St. Louis, he played with the Philadelphia Flyers. Brayden Schenn has become a high-quality top 6 center in the NHL. He can bring offense. He can bring physicality. He plays with energy. He's not afraid to drop the gloves from time to time. Brayden Schenn is an awesome, awesome player, one of my favorite guys in the league, and a massive hit with that 5th overall pick in 2009. Moving on now to 2010, they selected 15th overall, so a nice mid-round pick there, and then with that, they selected defenseman Derek Forbort. Derek Forbort has gone on to play 275 NHL games, scoring 6 goals, 47 assists for 53 points and a +7 rating. He came into the league with the LA Kings at this year's trade deadline, was traded to the Calgary Flames, where he obviously is still currently under contract with the Flames. And I'm going to call this one a hit. Forbort has become, he's not a star player or anything like that, but he's been a solid, middle to bottom pair defenseman now with the Flames. But he's got, he's been in an NHL lineup for a few years now. And he was a pretty darn good player when he first came up. Obviously, the Kings went downhill right pretty much as he was coming up into the league, and his play has kind of gone down a little bit with that, but now he's on a new team in Calgary, and it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up long term, because I think he can become a really, really solid either number 4 or number 5 type defenseman in someone's lineup, and that pick as a mid-first rounder is a hit in my opinion. 2007, or excuse me, wow, we're not going backwards here. 2011, they did not have a first-round draft pick, so we're going to skip over that and go right to 2012, where they selected 30th overall in the first round, and with that pick, they selected left wing Tanner Pearson. Now, Tanner Pearson, no longer on the LA Kings, currently plays for the Vancouver Canucks, but he has played 457 games in the NHL, scoring 108 goals, 107 assists for 215 points, and a +24 rating. Obviously, he's still in his mid-20s. His career is still very much underway, and this pick is an absolute hit. For a late first-round draft pick to come in, play over 450 games, over 100 goals, over 100 assists, over 200 points, and still going at the NHL level, that pick is absolutely a hit. Tanner Pearson is putting together a pretty darn good career as a second, third line type winger, right in the middle of the lineup type guy. And he's got a very bright future ahead of him still in the NHL as well. 2013, they did not have a first-round pick once again. So we move on to 2014, where they selected 29th overall. And with that pick, they selected left wing Adrian Kempe. Adrian Kempe is still on the LA Kings, one of their better young players in my opinion. And this pick is absolutely a hit. As a late first-round draft pick, Kempe's come in now and played 256 career games, scoring 41 goals, 62 assists for 103 points and a -12 rating. He's been on some pretty bad teams the last 2 years, but Kempe is a solid young player who I think is going to be a good piece for the Kings to hold on to going forward. I think he's going to be a good middle-of-the-lineup type guy, similar to Pearson, like second or third line, somebody who's going to score about 20 goals a year. And I think he's been a really, 20 to 25 goals a year, I should say. And somebody who's been a pretty good young player for the Kings and a big piece for them going forward. So I would say Adrian Kempe is definitely a hit at 29th overall. And 2015, once again, the Kings did not have a first-round draft pick. So that we have nothing to talk about there. So there it is, guys. We saw some hits. We saw some misses with LA. You can literally see the rise and fall of the LA Kings through their draft picks. You look in the late 2000s, they were selecting in the top 10 every single season. 3 years in a row, 07, 08, 09, they had top 5 draft picks. They obviously were not very good. They were drafting early in the draft, but then we saw them get good. And then, as we went into the 2010s, the Kings became a powerhouse in the Western Conference. And we saw a lot of years where they didn't have first-round draft picks because they traded them for, a current player to help the team. Or they were drafting very late in the first round, like 30th or 29th overall. We saw the rise of the LA Kings. Obviously, they won the Cup in 2012 and 2014. And then we saw, the effect, we're seeing the effect now of them only picking late in the first round or not picking in the first round at all. Obviously, their players got older, the team aged, the team's not as good as it used to be, and then things went downhill. And when things went downhill, we see where the LA Kings are now, where they are one of the bottom teams in the NHL. So there you have it, guys. We saw some hits, we saw some misses, but that is hit or miss for the LA Kings. Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.